Alrighty guys, welcome back to another one. This video, like others recently, is going to be a little bit different. I figured we have some guns that are worth showing off in closer detail and talking about a little bit more. So we're going to start with the Remington model 1148. This is in 16 gauge. It is one of my favorite guns. As you guys probably know, 16 gauge is my favorite shotgun gauge. I grew up shooting it. I actually grew up shooting a Browning Auto 5. The actual Sweet 16 one. It actually said Sweet 16, had the gold trigger. Was a beautiful gun, and 12-year-old me thought that gun kicked like a mule, which is part of the reason I fell in love with shotguns. These have, I'll show you in just a moment, a long recoil action where the barrel actually comes back into the receiver when they cycle, and that does, at least to 12-year-old me, add a significant amount of recoil. You sort of feel the recoil of the shell go off and the barrel coming back. It's a little bit different experience than regular shotguns, but still very cool nonetheless. So that Auto 5 belonged to a friend of mine's dad. He has a lot of guns, to put it lightly. Like, his den in his house was 3 of the 4 walls were built-in gun cabinets. It was sort of like his man cave, I guess you'd put it. Anyway, very cool guy. I won't mention his name. But he hunted all over North America. And, I don't know, guys. He just had a lot of guns. He had a 375 H&H mag, bolt action. That was the first gun I ever shot that had a significant amount of recoil to it. And I only shot it once. Again, I was 12 years old. But as you can see, this gun is not in the greatest shape in the world, but it's also very far from the worst. This side of the stock, I hope this is picking up well, shows a bit more wear. It's in its work clothes, as Josh put it. Also, a phrase Josh likes to say, this gun probably took well care of somebody, meaning this probably put a lot of food on the table for whoever owned it in a previous life. I changed camera angle so I could actually see what I'm doing. This example was made in 1952. The barrel is stamped right here. Remington Arms Co. Ilion, I believe is how it's pronounced, New York, made in USA. Patent number 2278589. Others pending. Now, this gun, the action on it is slick as butter. See how fast that closed? The bolt is just about mirror polish. I paid $350 for this gun a couple of years ago from a local gun shop, and well, it did have a poly choke on the end of it. We did actually remove the poly choke because it was making the gun pattern really high and to the right, and there was nothing we could do about it. And it did not like any load that was not inside of a wad. And as you guys know, we like to shoot buckshot, and that just wasn't a it wasn't good, to put it lightly. I keep hitting this table. But Remington model 1148, this is not the Sportsman's 48. This one has no magazine crimp. It does hold 4 rounds plus 1, so 5 in total. This is actually a very simple gun to take apart, which I will do. One thing I want to make note of, and I hope you guys can see this, I am really not too sure, but the barrel is stamped full, meaning this left the factory with a fixed full choke. Someone added a poly choke aftermarket. 16 gauge, chambered for 2 3/4 inch or shorter shells. And because it had that poly choke on it, hope you can see this once again, someone did drill and tap it for a rear sight, because as you guys probably know, the poly choke sits up about, I don't know, 3/8 of an inch off the barrel. And the front sight that was on the gun, it was just about impossible to see because of the poly choke. You could not see over it. So the poly choke was just giving us all kinds of trouble. We decided to remove that with a hacksaw. I'll show you the muzzle. So here's the muzzle of the gun. You can't really tell on camera, but it is cut perfectly flush. It is not lopsided at all. And if we go over to this side, you should be able to see, maybe, it does have a chamfer on it. So all in all, pretty nice job. Josh did this, and like I said, he did a fairly good job. This is actually a part of a round file or chainsaw file that he pressed into the barrel. He actually threaded it in, not pressed it. He drilled and tapped it. And I took a file, the same round file that we broke off. It's hard to see, guys, sorry. But I leveled it with the bore. So we have shot this gun, I don't know, 100 times after doing that, and it's not come out. It is Loctited in, by the way. And we left it pretty tall because we patterned it after hacking the poly choke off with a shorter bead, if you want to call it that, and it was still hitting a few inches high. So we put a taller bead in it, and now it shoots pretty good. Obviously, this is cylinder bore now. It has no choke whatsoever. So we've been just using it to shoot clays with off and on for the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 months. And it does pretty well. We've also shot some steel shot with it because, again, no choke, no issues there. But one day we do for sure want to get this barrel sent off to be threaded for chokes, because this gun is too good of a shooter not to hunt with or focus. Using videos, things like that, yeah, this gun is awesome. But it being a cylinder bore now, it's not good for patterns, although we have shot slugs with it, and it does group slugs fairly well. So just a heads up, if I start slurring, see right there, if I start slurring my words, it's because this noose right here is like really strong. It's got 26 milligrams of nicotine per pouch or portion, and I didn't expect it to be quite that strong, and I'm honestly really feeling it. It's kind of nauseating, to be honest. But this gun does break down really simple. Starts with just, pulling the barrel like any other gun, loosen the mag tube cap, pull the barrel, slide the fore end off. It does have a big massive spring in here, which is what cycles the action. And then you can remove the bolt. I'll do that for you right now, actually. It's fairly straightforward, pretty much like any shotgun, semi-auto or pump. The spring is now uncompressed. You can slide the fore end off. Hope this is on frame. Then the barrel pops right off. I gotta be careful because obviously glass table. You can see this massive spring in here. It is a coil spring, obviously leaf style, not leaf style. Flat spring is the phrase I was looking for, but it does fit kind of tight. You have to sort of turn it while you pull, and it is off. There's our mag tube. Standard length that holds 4 rounds plus 1 in the chambers for a total of 5. But now you can drop the bolt. The bolt handle, I got to get this better in frame, guys. Just pull straight out. Actually got to push it back a little bit, then pull it out. Then the bolt can slide right out, and this does have 2 tails on it. There you go. 2 tails on it that sit in the, I call it a piston for lack of a better term, that is in the stock right here. Pretty simple design, to be honest. And once again, this is long recoil, just like the Browning Auto 5. The new A5s are a different system, sadly. But the Remington Model 11 also works the same way, and the Barrett M82 or M107 is also long recoil. There are quite a number of guns out there, both old design and new, that run on long recoil. There's one more piece in here. A little bit tight fitting, but there it is. I believe these are interchangeable for hotter or milder loads. This gun right here cycles everything from 7/8 ounce light lead loads all the way up to 1 3/4 TSS loads. So very well cycling gun. We have had no real issues out of it. The only issues, there's 2 that we have ever had, is we tried to bump fire it. The gun does not like being bump fired, like at all. And also, if your shells are a little bit corroded or rusty or worn out, the gun may not cycle them, because we had one fail to eject. That was on Josh in the Valentine's Day video. That was on camera. Actually, both examples were on camera. But those are the only malfunctions we've ever had with this gun. Once again, it does cycle 7/8 ounce loads at like 1150 FPS, no problem. The TriStar Viper G2 and 16 gauge that we got to sort of replace this gun for patterning videos, That gun does not cycle 7/8 ounce loads at that low velocity, but it does cycle 1 ounce loads at 1165 and everything else up from there. So that gun is cool, but this one has the old school charm. This was made back when American guns were, well, they're still to be desired, but they're from an era when, I don't know guys, just everything was a lot simpler back then. Wood stocks and steel, just beautiful examples of American craftsmanship. Now this might be a little bit hard to see because of the lighting, but this gun was really filthy whenever I got it. I thought it was clean because when I pulled the bolt back and looked in, it looks sort of like how it does now, if you guys can actually see in there. But once I broke it down, it was full of really old black grease and just built up unburned powder, dirt, you name it, it was in there. So I spent like 2 hours cleaning it, and this is about as clean as I'm going to be able to get it without stripping the metal, and I really don't want to do that. There is some pitting on this side of the receiver. Maybe you can hear it right there. And yeah, I could take care of that if I wanted to, but honestly, I'm not really that concerned about it. Once again, Josh puts it, this gun is in its work clothes, and I kind of like the whole vibe of it, to be honest. This gun was definitely a shooter, not a safe queen. Looks like it was taken on many hunting trips. Who knows what it was, what it got. And as you can hopefully tell, this gun was shot quite a bit. The mag tube shows some considerable wear. Most of the bluing is still here, but up on this end, well, it's pretty much gone. The trigger guard is made of, I think, aluminum, so it doesn't take bluing, obviously. So it was pretty worn whenever I got it, and when I cleaned it, the remaining finish got stripped away, so I literally just took a black Sharpie and ran over it. I'll fix that up with legit paint one day, because that is honestly pretty ugly and kind of shameful, to be honest, but it doesn't look horrible. Yeah, I guess it serves its job. The fore end is not in terrible shape either. It does have a few nicks and dings on it. The checkering is still, oh, I want to say 80% there. The other side of it shows less wear for some reason. But yeah, it does show considerably less wear, not as many nicks and dings. It is still pretty shiny. The finish is pretty much all there. It still has a gloss finish. It hasn't hazed over or nothing, except for this spot right here. I'm guessing that's where whoever owned it before, their hand laid right here most of the time, and it's worn the finish off, but the rest of it's still there. On the inside, it's pretty much immaculate. I'm not really sure if you guys can see that too well, so I'm bringing it over here in better lighting. As you can see, it does have a few nicks and dings. If this is already picked up on camera, I'll just edit this part out, but this is better lighting. This side is once again in a lot better shape. We do have a spot of bare wood right here with no finish left, or next to no finish. But the rest of it is all still there. The lighting is just awful today. It's really bright outside, but here is the left side of the stock. You can see it does have some nicks and dings. The finish is all still here for the most part. This scratch right here, I did that putting it in and out of the car, but I mean, it still has a lot of its finish left. I'd say this gun is probably, I don't know, 75% of its original finish still there and bluing. The checkering is actually still really defined somehow, but it is. You can see the pitting I was referring to right there. There's some on the back of the receiver on the right side. Once again, the trigger guard does not look that great. The inside of the receiver is discolored from years of wear and, well, hardened grease. I could clean that up with a wire brush, but again, I'm not really that concerned about it. To give you an example of how this action works, watch the bolt right here when I push the barrel against the porch here. Locks the bolt open. The barrel does come back into the receiver. So guys, there's our 1148 and 16 gauge made in 1952. Very cool gun, one of my favorites in our collection. just a beautiful old American classic. Now Drake over at American Arms Channel posted a video today on his Sportsman's Model 48 in 12 gauge, and that's kind of what inspired this video. I wanted to show one of ours, and why not start with the 1148. So let us know what you guys thought of this video. If you want to see more, we'll do them, and I'm sure Josh has quite a few guns he'd like to show off, as do I. But that's going to end this one here. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.